Hey, hey! It's another episode of Soul Care Conversations with Bria, and it's Women Her Story Month. And I'm so excited that we have an amazing guest. And I really want to dive into her story. She is simply inspiring. I love her content. And today's topic that I want to dive into with her is talking about soul care through the nomadic lifestyle. This queen is just amazing, smart, brilliant, all of the above. But without further ado, welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Priya.
Thank you for being a guest.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad that we didn't let this pass us. I
Yes.
think this is the perfect time. Her story, that title's great, and using Women's Month to highlight this journey is really awesome. So I'm looking
Yes, I'm
forward to
super
our
excited.
convo today.
Yes. So, give us a brief intro about you. Like, my intro didn't do justice, but give us a brief introduction about you,
Okay,
Kimberly
so
P.
yeah, Kimberly P.P. So I am an expat, travel blogger, and all around faith and freedom mentor. I have been traveling and living in different parts of the world for over 6 years now. I dropped everything. I think when I was about 22 years old. Yeah, I dropped
Wow.
everything in the States. I was living in Brooklyn, which is where we met. And
Yeah.
just a year later, a few months later, I just decided, like, okay, life in New York wasn't for me. So I relocated to another state. And after I relocated to another state, I realized that just the American experience, the American dream wasn't for me. So I dropped everything, gave away my car, gave up my
Wow.
apartment, gave up everything. I mean, I was as far
Wow.
so fed up. Like, I was just like burning bills. I was just like, if I couldn't close them out, I burned them. I was like, all right, like, I'll have
I
to
love
figure this out
that.
later, but I'm leaving. And so, yeah, I
That's
left.
powerful.
Yeah, I left my first, I attempted to go on this nomadic journey where I would just hop from different countries all over the world in just short periods of time, and that wasn't going to be. But that wasn't going to be possible for me, just because of the way I went about moving abroad. I moved abroad with just $100 and a suitcase, and so
Wow.
I had no desire in me to work, get a job abroad. So I had to slow down, choose slow traveling, to just let miracles really help me out and sustain my lifestyle abroad in these different countries. So that's my story. Yeah, that's how I started traveling. That's how I started my nomadic journey. I've lived in several different countries now over these past 6 years. By slow mad, I mean that I'm not traveling to a country and staying for like a week or two. It means that I'm staying for at least a month, at least 3 months, at least six
I
months.
love that.
Yeah,
I
the
love
longest I've
that.
done is a year in a different country.
Wow. I love that. And I love the concept of, like, you realize that the American dream wasn't for you. And it's crazy because you see on the news, you can see the news, you can see anywhere, immigrants are usually coming here by the droves. And now they
Mm-hmm.
even have incentives now that they're giving immigrants where we give you X amount of $1,000 a month to stay here and live here. And the American economy, from my vantage point, is in shambles.
Mm-hmm.
The concept of the American dream, especially from the perspective of a woman from the African diaspora, from the perspective of a black woman, you know, I don't see the American dream being something that is, oh, it's an illusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so powerful that you made this decision to not only leave but purge before you left. And what
Yeah.
was that triggering moment that said, you know what, I gotta go. I gotta go.
For me, it was, okay, so I remember when I was working, the last job, work that I was doing Atlanta, Georgia. When I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, I remember I was doing Ubers, and every day I would just wake up, do Uber rides for like 10 hours, go to sleep, do the same thing, and I just sat down one day and I just observed myself. I was like, do you even want to do this? Like
Mm,
it's that one time when you allow yourselves to sit down and you allow the questions to just pop up in your head and to just allow your inner voice to speak,
mm,
and you allow yourself to also to answer to that. And so I said,
right.
and my answer to that question, do you really want to do this? I was just like, absolutely not. Like, I wanted so bad to, not only move abroad, but to validate to my family and friends that, that I could hold this down, I could sustain myself, I could figure it all out, I could do it all on my own, and I could be this modern woman who has it all together and who
Right.
doesn't just drop the ball or doesn't go through a struggle or whatever, just succeeds.
Just to
And
create the illusion of succeeding.
just to create the illusion of succeeding.
Because
So
I mean, from my vantage point, I'm sure that by a lot of standards, you were very successful in your life in America, establishing yourself. But do you feel like oftentimes we're pressured to keep up this facade
of
while
course,
many of us are drowning
of course, of
behind this
course.
facade?
Yeah, of
Right.
course, of course. During my reflection, when I had asked myself that question, it was just like, okay, well, the next question was, who are you trying to please with this, right? Because at that point, like I had moved alone to this new city, and the phone calls, I was getting less phone calls. I wasn't seeing that many people, so it was just like, okay, like I'm doing all these things so that I could show to someone who doesn't even live with me, is not
Mm-hmm.
present, cannot see
Mm-hmm.
me. Like, granted, I have a great family who, prays for me, who encourages me, who doesn't
Right.
like bash me. That they don't like, how to say this. They're supportive, but in with distance. And
Mm-hmm.
so the next, yeah, that question, I had to be honest with myself that, hey, you're alone, and if you're going to do something, you need to do something that pleases you, because every day you have to see you have to face you in the mirror, and you have
Right.
to, face that the baggy eyes. You have to face yourself when you
Yeah.
see like wrinkles, or when you realize like, oh my gosh, like you're having these heavy cramps, and like,
No one's there.
no one's there. Like, if you need to go, get some medication, you gotta go get it. Like, you just gotta figure it out. So it's like, okay, if I have to do all this stuff by myself,
Right.
why not find a way to please myself, right? Like, if I'm hurting, I have to find a way to take care of myself, right? So i have to
Mm-hmm.
so i have to choose like a more drastic way to I
Mm-hmm.
have I have to do a more drastic thing to take care of myself. And that was
Right.
it for me. My answer to my questions was that I don't want to be here. I don't want to keep up this American dream. Gosh, if I'm being honest, like, and this is me talking to God, if I'm being honest, like, I don't care to be the modern woman. Like, I really want to grow down. I really want to know what it's like to explore, to be creative, to,
Right.
make friends all over the world and try new things without feeling the pressure to get up and
Right.
go to work and get up and show people, like, a degree, or, like
Mm-hmm.
grind. I don't really care for that.
I love that. I think what's so powerful about that, the powerful about that decision was that you decided that I'm no longer going to take on the pressure of feeling like my identity is attached to what my family wants, what the people around me want, what everybody else wants. You start to go on this individual journey. And I feel like, especially for me and my background, which I can relate to so much, and I feel like a lot of women can relate to, regardless to what your race is, a lot of our identity is attached to everybody else. How accessible we are for everyone else. And when we feel like we're not fulfilling that obligation, that we feel like we're almost born into that obligation, that we feel like we're not successful. Like, sometimes our success is also, oh, I got this degree and I got this and I got that title, but it's also who who I can reach out and be accessible to, and who and what family tradition am I like leaning my identity or lending myself to kind of like adhere to. So I feel like the decision you made wasn't a selfish one. It was like something in your spirit said, I need more. And I feel like soul care and self-care is about, it's not just bubble baths, getting your nails done, getting your hair done. That's important, but it's also finding the antidote for you to do life, finding the recipe to live in a fulfilled life. And you're looking, you okay, you know, like, this ingredients don't work. This lifestyle right now in New York City is not working. I need to switch up the ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think was the first thing that you discovered when you moved abroad?
Whew.
One of the first things you discovered, or multiple things, some of the first things you discovered when you moved.
Yeah, the first thing that I discovered when I moved abroad was
And I
that
apologize for the background. If you hear any background noise, I apologize.
Uh, well, you might hear some on my end too, because
I
I'm in
don't.
Mexico right now, and the walls are thin. They're probably hearing my conversation, and we just, we don't even
And I
we don't
saw
even
you in
apologize.
Mexico.
We just,
Okay.
you just, this is what it is. Like you can't,
It
you know
is
what?
what it is.
I think that'll be my answer. I think my answer is that it's just surprising to me, like well, I discovered how laid back you could be about things
Mhm.
compared to in the States. Like in the States, we have to excuse ourselves all the time. We have to be sorry. It's just almost so like it's just so much pressure, or just like you feel like you're in this rigid box and you have to stay in this box. You can't disturb anyone. You can't like make a mistake. You just have to stay stern. You have to stay in this rigid box. And I realized, for example, where did I move to? When I moved to Mexico, like it just wasn't like that. It just was like you didn't have to say sorry really if you bumped into someone. It was just like,
I love
if
that.
you didn't have to say sorry, like you could just touch the person on the shoulder, tap them on the shoulder, letting them know
Everything
like
wasn't that deep.
it
It's
wasn't that
not that
deep.
deep.
Nothing was
Right.
deep anymore. Nothing was deep. I didn't need to like walk on my tippy toes. I didn't need to act like every day I was walking on eggshells. Like it
I can
was just
imagine that one little aspect of difference just was so like, kusa.
yeah, yeah, like my neighbors were loud and there was no one that you could complain to. Like if my neighbors decided that they wanted to listen to music real loud, and that's okay in New York City for the most part. Like, you really
But the
can't do nothing
average
about it.
American neighborhood, no.
No,
In
it's a big
America, we
deal.
live to be offended
Right,
because
right.
we're
So
uptight. We don't even realize how the American culture creates this kind of uptight energy.
yeah.
And sometimes
Mm,
I feel like you don't really know who you are until you've seen yourself in different environments. And
mm-hmm.
we don't even realize how much of our identity, or what we think is our identity, is really just a reactive state of mind or
Yeah,
a reactive state of being, from
yeah.
my perspective. Is that we often don't realize that a lot of who we are is just kind of like how we've been socially engineered to
Mm-hmm.
kind of adapt to our current reality.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes so much courage for you to say, I don't care if I got $100 in my pocket, I'm going to move because something in my spirit is saying move. and
Mm-hmm.
you and you and you made it, and you had a conversation with God. And
Mm-hmm.
something so powerful, as a powerful lesson in faith, that I'm seeing when I look at your content, when as I hear you now learning more about your journey, is that it's a big step, it's a big lesson in faith,
Yeah,
because you really talk with God and say, God, this is what I'm about to do.
yeah.
And he was like, okay, my child, I'm with you. Because I
Right.
see the glow. I see the
Mm-hmm.
glow. I
Yeah.
see how you feel. And it's beautiful. Like, what would be something you would say to, younger Black women who have not traveled often? Like, it's a beautiful thing that a lot of us are traveling, especially if you're like from New York, or you're from different parts where you're in an area where it is like a melting pot of different cultures. You're kind of like accustomed to different cultures. But
Yeah.
you would say to like a girl that's from a small town,
Mm.
regardless of the race, and they have not traveled, what would be some advice to them for someone who has never traveled?
Well,
I'm sorry.
yeah. What I was gonna say is that I often get the common question that I get more than anything from any woman who hasn't traveled is, how is it with racism? Will I be accepted there? What
Mm,
what can I expect in terms of like the people's behavior towards me because of my color, my skin color? And honestly, I have to say that when I left abroad, I I didn't even have that as a factor. Like,
mm,
oh, I was going to be treated differently. And yes, because I did grow up in a melting pot in New York City where I met diverse people every day. So I never stood out. I feel like I didn't stand out. But I would still say, like, to someone who has grown up in a smaller city, and you're only seeing a particular type of people every day, I would still say that it's important to do some inner work to just accept that this is how you are and this is how you come in this world. You can't really erase that. And when you
right.
do that, you get to embrace that you are different, and it once you embrace who you are and how you present in this world, like, you have to be willing to start to expect that other people are going to embrace you the same way,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're basically going to get a reflection of what you believe
Mm,
about yourself and how you perceive yourself.
right.
So I think a lot of people, like, for example, a lot of people don't do this work, don't check in and do self-acceptance work before they travel, and then they just kind of go into a different country and they're like seeking racism, right? And because they're on that
Mm-hmm.
vibe, because they're
Mm-hmm.
on that vibe seeking racism, whatever you are seeking for, you shall
You're
find.
gonna get it.
You're gonna get it, so you'll get
I
that. You'll
forget that law, but it's we don't know the power of how our minds bring things into our reality. We have
into our
such powerful
experience.
minds.
We
Whatever our
do.
perspective is, we're going to find it. I forget the name of that. It's a term for it, but I don't. It escapes me. But what you're saying is so on point. What you're looking for, you're going to find, and that
Yeah,
self acceptance is so important,
yeah,
and that's powerful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
yeah.
cut you off, but
Yeah,
that's a
no,
big
that's
point.
fine. That's fine. I think it's really important. Like, I would never suggest that someone just leaves the States, or just leave anywhere at that without checking in, without doing some type of work. You know what's so interesting? This makes me think of, before I left, you gave me a book that, like, changed everything for me before I left. Like,
And it's crazy. I
it's
don't even
crazy.
remember giving
You
you
don't,
that book.
I know
That's
you don't
crazy.
remember. I know you don't remember. But every time I see you, I make the connection with, like, this girl, she was sent to me to give me this book that changed my life. And I'm so glad that we're still
Wow.
connected. We still
All
follow each
praises due
other.
to God.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I get to tell you that. But for real, like, when I remember we met at Brooklyn College. We were both going to Brooklyn
Yeah.
College.
Yep. Yep.
And I was when I met you, I was already in therapy, right? I was in therapy talking about the fact that I want to leave New York. I just can't imagine what life would be like if I were to just drop my degree, drop
And
everything
Brooklyn
that I.
College is it's for me. Um, I moved from New Orleans, moved from a small town. You know, the pressure of living in New York City plus going to a school, and it's kind of like a borderline PWI. So it's just like, you have to I love what you're saying here is that you really did some inner work
Yeah,
that
yeah. So
that made
that
you get
book.
to that decision.
Yeah, so that what you gave me, that book you gave me was the buffer for me, because I was
That's
already in
wonderful.
therapy, and therapy was doing the mental part. It was getting me to
Right.
purge, but then you gave
Beautiful.
me a spiritual book, which was kind of filling in the gap, because that's an issue
Was it
that
a
we
purple
have.
book?
It is. It's creating money. That book by Dwayne Parker.
Yes, that book is powerful.
That
I
Dwayne
love that book.
Parker. Yeah,
Yes,
you were reading it when I met you, and I just took a picture, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I got to get this book. So I got the book, and I think just after I met you, I was reading it on my way home, and I just kept
love it.
reading it, kept reading
Love
it, kept
it.
reading it, and that book inspired me to
It's
actually
powerful. That
leave
book is powerful.
New York. Yeah, that
Yes.
was it was really great. It was really awesome. So I thank you, for,
Well, God
just
comes in
speaking
so many
up.
different ways. He
Hmm.
used me, so it's an honor to be used as a vessel in that moment. Because you were
Yeah.
already seeking what you needed to create that recipe, because you didn't like
Hmm.
the recipe that you had. So
Yeah.
you was looking for all the ingredients to
Yeah.
feed your soul to get to this conclusion. That's
Yeah.
powerful. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
This I love that book because it was just a soft way to get me
Mm-hmm.
into spirituality. That was like the first spiritual book that I've read,
Yes,
you
because
know.
the title is doesn't even do justice for all of the nuggets of wisdom in every page that you turn.
But
It's
it's
like,
so good, creating
yes,
money. So good.
yeah, it's beautiful.
Hmm.
We, I think the beautiful thing when you get to a place of just like you not only understand but understand yourself is that you can create abundance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we lose sight of that wisdom when we get caught up in our emotions.
Hmm.
And I think like when sometimes we can know everything in the book, but if our emotions are kind of like overriding our ability to really reason and really think about this from our inner wisdom, it's null and void. Like if we
Hmm.
don't, if our inner wisdom is our emotions play a huge part in the American life. Like
Hmm.
many of us are just emotionally all over the place, lacking emotional intelligence because that's the way this world and the society can socially condition us. Not to say that's not the same anywhere else, but there's something about this American lifestyle that all of us feel like we got to have the American dream. We got to have the nice car. And you just said, I'm giving up my car. I'm giving up my space where everybody wants to move to New York City when they come to America because they think this is one of the land of, this is the American, this is one of the top places people want to come as
Yeah.
tourists.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that I feel like you have to get to a certain place within yourself in order everywhere you go. I feel you're going to have a beautiful experience in some capacity because that's where your mindset is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and I love the fact that when I watch your content, because for me, my biggest fear when I go abroad is how am I going to experience racism? And so you just said
No.
something very powerful for me to think about. Is that what I'm looking for? Is
Mm.
that the lens? Because, living in American society, every day you can scroll down your feed and see police brutality. You
Yeah.
can see some type of like racial disparity,
Yeah.
something that's dealing with the identity of being a Black person in America. Because sometimes feel, I forget, it was it James Baldwin that said it, if you are a deep thinker, you're always enraged. If you're
Mm.
always conscious, living in America, you're going to always be enraged about something because every
Mm.
day we're bombarded with the reality that um, there is racism that exists. There's all these isms that exist as a woman. Women,
Yeah.
her story month is so important to me because our
Mm.
stories, your story right now, someone is going to see this and hear this and be like, dang, I want to move abroad,
Yeah.
and that's powerful because one thing I saw from your experience, people love you. And there are
Yeah.
people from all walks of life that you have
Yeah.
made friends with and they
Yeah.
just adore you,
Yeah.
because and you're so regal. Like you wear your beautiful natural hair,
Yeah.
you try all these different styles.
Yeah.
Like I just be like, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired."
Yeah.
And
But it came with the work. Like before I left, before I left, it it came like because this what I'm saying is that this confidence to, be around all types of people as soon as I, did the work, as soon as I scripted, like I would script about this every day, like how I want to be seen, how I want to be perceived. It's like I can control how people perceive me, really.
mm-hmm.
Like I can control what people think about, not 100%, but for the most part, right? And I could actually, I convinced myself that people are actually really gonna like me,
I love
whereas
that.
like the society has convinced us that people are not gonna like us. What I did was
Mm-hmm.
I took matters in my own hands and I decided I'm gonna reconvince myself now that
Mm-hmm.
everybody's gonna like me. And if they don't like me, they'll just walk away or they'll just get away
Mm.
from me.
I
And
love
so
that.
I won't even have to deal with that, right?
I
So
love that.
that's where you get to exercise power abroad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get to to tap into and make different connections, tap in and make different connections all over the world when you basically, go in your room by yourself and write about like how you want to feel every day. When people look at you, how you want them to feel, like,
Right.
and
I love
especially as
that.
a woman, like as a woman, we have like, attracting power. Like we
Yeah.
can do a lot of things inward to manipulate, right? And
Hmm.
manipulate
That
is not
divine
always,
feminine energy. Yeah.
yeah, manipulation is not a bad thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to bend society to like to have experiences that fulfill you, that make you seem like, oh my gosh,
You've been
you
tapping into your goddess energy,
yeah,
that
you
goddess
are the
flow.
goddess, you're the queen, so
Yeah,
i'll
I
get
love
i'll
that.
I'll go anywhere, and without telling people like call me queen, to call me queen, they'll address me as queen,
I love
and
it.
that's because I've said, well, everywhere I go, people call me queen. They just treat me as a
Okay.
queen. They just really like it. Like, and so I just laugh when I hear it. I don't need to like be like, oh no, I just laugh because I laugh in approval. Like, yeah, you don't know. Like, I actually just got you to do this. Just I did it.
Manifested.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
manifested this. So yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so much to be said in that. In your vlogging, because I saw you had a YouTube video. I see you have a blog.
Hmm.
When are we gonna get the next blog in your life in Cartagena?
Cartagena. Hmm.
Cartagena, Colombia. Um, are you still living there?
So let me tell you, I'm not living there right now. How I go about my nomadic journey is in conjunction to like my own personal life journey, personal development
Love
journey,
that.
right? So I stayed in Cartagena for about 7 months, right? I stayed in Colombia for a total of 10 months, but I stayed in Cartagena for 7 months. Before I went to Cartagena, I had the intention in my heart to just be more feminine, flowy.
I love
Before I
that.
even left, like I just scripted about it. I said, listen, God, like I'm ready to just give up a lot of this masculine conditioning
Mm-hmm.
programming that I've carried all these
Mm-hmm.
years, and I just want to know like how to be more uh, be more of my natural self and
Mm-hmm.
move with this natural feminine energy.
I love
So
that.
Cartagena had become like this field of a field where I practice,
I
basically a
love it.
field where like
Tapping into your divine feminine energy,
yes, because the energy there,
reclaiming it.
yeah, the energy there in Cartagena, it's very romantic, it's very feminine, it's very soft. The men talk to you there like you're the most beautiful thing they've ever seen, especially since
Love it.
like I'm black, I'm darker than other Colombians. In Cartagena, there are more women that look like us, but like in different parts of Medellin, there are white women.
Right.
But when they see this brown skin, black skin, they
Mm-hmm.
just like, oh my
Gorgeous
gosh,
woman
like
with this
it's
gorgeous
just so
energy.
gorgeous. So I'll tell you, like I get pretty privileged over there. Like
Okay.
I swear, it's pretty privileged. The men just like, they just open doors for you. They do everything for you. They speak to you really kindly, and so that then the energy, the way people act, all of
I
that
love
like
that.
just sets in my soul. It does its work on me. The energy like transforms me. Does its work on me for
I love
however
that.
long that it needs to. I don't pressure myself to leave. And
You
then
listen to your spirit. You really
I
listen to yourself
I really
and your
do. I do.
intuition.
I
I
do.
love
And
that.
yeah, and after ten months of being in Colombia in total, I just woke up and I just felt like, okay, like I get it now. I get it. I'm on to the next journey. I'm on to the
I
next
love
thing. So
that. This
I'm
is
currently
really
in
soul
Mexico.
care. You were in Mexico. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. This is really soul care through a nomadic lifestyle.
Hmm.
It really is because
Yeah.
you're listening to your soul, you're listening to your energy, and you're moving when you say move. When your
Yeah.
spirit says move.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was going to be in Cartagena that long. Really, I really went because, like, I had set the intention and I was just like, okay, God, show me where to go next. And the impulse for me to go get my teeth work done in Cartagena because it's super cheap to get dental
I
work
need to
done
go
there.
there. I need to go.
It's super cheap to get dental work there. So
That's
I'm
amazing.
thinking that, oh, I'm just going to go do dental work. Because, you ask and you forget, right? You pray and then you forget, but you don't know
Mm-hmm.
like how you just reoriented everything, how things are molding for you to get what you asked for.
Based off
But
that prayer. You didn't
based
even know
off
how
that
God was
prayer,
going
you
to
think,
answer that prayer.
right, you think you just going to get your teeth done. Ha ha ha. You get your teeth done. Little do you know, you're getting everything you asked for. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that the journey with you, finding the getting the dental work. It's just like when I like you exactly how you're saying it is exactly how I perceived your life there. It's just like a beautiful, lovely experience where you just see that you're awakening. Do
Yeah.
you feel like, everywhere you move, you feel like you're getting to a different level of who you are? And,
Absolutely.
love
Absolutely.
that.
Everywhere I go makes me shed a part of me that, is not going to serve me for the next level or for the next intention that I have, right? So it's an
I
ever
love that.
evolving journey. It's like, I just have more space and more laughter, more like flow to do this because, like, before we
Hmm.
started this interview, I told you, like, I'm not busy. So I just really get to be present. And so because I'm doing that, it's just like I have time to reflect, I have time to think, I have time to let go parts of me. And I just want to mention that it's very beautiful journey, but there's struggle. There is struggle.
Like
There's,
anything.
like anything, there's struggle, and
Hmm.
there's more internal struggle, right? Because
Yes.
we've been taught to be focused on the material things, right? So we
Hmm.
think our struggle is with the material things, but the struggles that whatever struggles we're experiencing, it's really us like having a hard time letting go of a belief, letting go of a part of ourselves,
Hmm.
and it's like until you can be at peace and let go,
Yes.
you will struggle, you will
That's so
struggle.
true.
And being abroad, I feel like the pressure is on, I
To
swear.
really challenge all of those superficial hangups, I
It
guess,
is. It
right?
is. You got to think fast because, you're. I'm never in my norm, so to speak. There's
I get
no
what you're
more
saying.
norm for me anymore.
I get what you're saying. That makes sense.
Like, yeah, a lot of people will struggle, go home to what they're familiar with,
Hmm.
to people they're familiar with, to conversations they're familiar with. But it's like, okay, if I want to keep moving, which I have no
Hmm.
choice, like I'm still living as a nomad. Like my life is still in a suitcase. Everything I own is still in a suitcase.
That's
I
freedom,
do.
though.
I jump from house to house on Airbnbs. So
That's so cool.
I still have to think fast. There's not much time to dwell because you have to keep moving. So,
I love
yeah.
that. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. I hope you're going to write a book about this, a
Yeah,
memoir
I
about
am. I
this.
am. I
Oh, that's
am.
so exciting. I can't wait to read it.
I am.
And I got so many questions, but this is my second to last question. Um, do you think you how long do you see yourself living a nomadic lifestyle?
That's funny. That's a great question. That's a great question. That's like a perfect question for this, to just get this question makes me speak out my intention, right? So I'm at the point of my journey where I'm like, okay,
Love that.
yeah, I'm like, I'm about to, I'll be in my final year till before 30. Not that numbers count for me. It's just that now I'm thinking about my biological clock and just how I feel like since I have opened up to being more feminine and allowing this more feminine energy, that comes with like, okay, your role, your biological role as a woman, biologically. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
anything to offend
Mm-hmm.
anyone, but biologically, your role as a
Mm-hmm.
woman is to produce, right? Is to have
Mm-hmm.
babies, is to nurture a family. So the I'll be honest with you, the next phase for me that's coming up on me soon is gonna be like, um, having a family.
I
Yeah,
love
it's gonna
that.
be having a family, and I don't see myself as a nomadic wife, nomadic mother. I am looking for like the perfect place that I could just spend
Settle
five
away for a little
years.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like my vision is to find a really good place that I could spend 5 years in, right? And just enjoy being in that place, enjoy marriage, enjoy like being a mother and creating a bond with my children where like I don't have to really separate from them. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing
I
that's
love that.
making me jump and leave and travel or anything. Like I just really
Mm-hmm.
want to be paired with them. Like certain
Yeah.
some travels trips here and there is fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm looking for a stable home.
I love
Yeah,
that.
at
And
this
I think
point.
I think I think you're gonna emerge into that when you're ready. And I love I love when you say about, living a nomadic lifestyle, you're shedding different layers of kind of like, to me, what I see is like we're in a matrix here in a lot of capacities. You can view living an American lifestyle or living in a society where capitalism rules no matter where you are, what country you're in. It's kind of like the matrix, and your
Yeah.
identity is so enmeshed into that matrix that you've kind of been had to adapt to from the moment you open your eyes and had life. So what I love about what you're saying is that, I have no choice. I have to think quick. I have to challenge those things and shed those skin. But you could have easily came back to the States and came back to a comfortable hell. So many of us, yeah, it's a comfort zone, but like they say, nothing grows in a comfort zone.
Mhm.
When you're pushing yourself to evolve and grow, because this is the ingredients to your evolution right now in your life. And
Mhm.
as we evolve and as we grow, our what we want changes, and that roadmap changes. Those ingredients kind of change. But what I love is that you're listening to yourself, you're being patient with yourself. And the whole thing about the biological clock, I feel the exact same way. Like right now, I'm like a in the States nomadic. Like I had this last year, I had this period where I was kind of like living in between two states, trying to figure out, and still right now, I'm trying to figure out what environment having this black son, what environment I want him to grow up in. And, I think the beautiful thing about what you're doing is you're doing the inner work. So that way, when it's time for you being a mother, of course, the inner work never stops, but you'll be at a certain level in your inner work where you're ready to feed your child certain principles and certain concepts that he won't have to go through what you went through to get to that point of realization, you
Mhm.
know? And a beautiful thing about what I'm hearing about your journey. Yes, you're a black woman, proud black woman, beautiful black woman, and you understand the beauty and the complexity of your identity. But you're seeing yourself as this human being, this soul living a human experience. You're looking at things from the perspective of the spirit. You're not letting too much of what society says I am, what this says I am, dictate your reality. You're listening to the spirit. And some of us, sometimes we don't realize how much we get caught up in the flesh. And we don't even realize how a lot of what we do, a lot of what we think, a lot of what we get caught up on is flesh thinking. And when you think from the spirit, is it like you're really listening to your inner self. And
Right.
that takes courage. Oh my God, that takes so much courage. So when I look at your story, I'm like, wow, it takes courage. And, I moved to New York City from New Orleans, 19, and went on my journey, and I felt just the way you felt. I had to get up out of here. I had to
Mm-hmm.
get up out of that environment at the time because it was not the thing that was feeding my growth and my
Mm.
development, and so I moved, and a lot of people didn't understand it. My family didn't understand it. Certain people didn't understand it. They eventually understood, and I went through different things. That's a whole nother conversation for another day. When I moved here, and that was a lot, and now I'm kind of in the same state of mind. Like, I want to be able to, once my son gets a certain age, even now, I'm trying to get into the thought process of traveling, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I love what I learned from this conversation is that you got to get to a certain understanding with yourself before
Yeah.
you venture off. And sometimes you figure it out once you get to your destination.
Yeah.
But you got to get to a certain place of like, you're a visionary, is what I'm seeing. And what I'm hearing and what I'm knowing and what I see right now and what I've been seeing in your content. You're a visionary and you're stepping into your vision, and you've been doing the work, the inner work, reading the right books, going into therapy sessions. You're doing the inner work. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. It
Mm.
is the hardest thing to do, just to do the inner work to prepare yourself for the next level.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Last question. Um, what are some of your favorite, like, what's the word I'm looking for? One of those moments where you just felt like, okay, this is the right decision. What was one of those favorite moments that you had when you moved to Colombia and you realize, okay, this moment right here shows me. I know there was plenty moments, but what is one of those very memorable moments when you first moved out of the country where it was like, okay, this is what I was meant to do. It's where I'm meant to be right now at this stage in my life.
So Colombia or what uh are you talking about Are you wondering about Colombia or are you wondering
I
about
asked
like in
so much in
general?
that question.
It's
In
okay.
general,
And
basically in general.
feel free to ask another one, two more. Like it's
No,
all
I know
right.
time. We already went over time
Don't worry, don't worry.
because
Just
it's you just a vibe. You are
yeah,
a
just
vibe.
ask me one, and then we'll go from there. And if you feel called to ask another one, just know that it's okay.
Got you. I'm asking for myself. I'm not asking for a friend. Um,
Okay.
for someone like me who wants to kind of experience the nomadic lifestyle, right? And go on a journey because I feel like there are parts of myself I have not met, and I'm not going to meet her until I put her in a new environment. Until
Hmm.
I put myself in a new environment, I'm not going to meet these different levels of myself.
Hmm.
Um, what would be the advice you would give to somebody who wants to kind of start embarking on this lifestyle? Maybe it's just for a period of time, for a year. What would be
Hmm.
your advice?
So my advice, well, all things are important, right? Money's important. Uh, Money's important, and like just safety is important, protection is important, right? At the same time, there's just so much, like, how do you get the right information and know how to move forward? The best way to get your right information is to really like map out what it is that you could use right now, right? Like for me, before I moved, I was like, okay, what do I want? I want to be able to wake up every day and be
Excuse
able to
me.
walk to the beach, right? I'm like, okay, I need this because I just love how I feel when I'm on the beach. I love how
Me too.
I feel like I can breathe better when I'm on the beach. Just giving it a
Hmm.
purpose as like your
You
why.
get to do that daily grounding with the feet. Get to get your feet touch the earth.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
good for mental health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you map that out. So you're like, okay, I need that. And then I go, oh, well, I need to have really good fresh fruits. And I like it to be affordable. Like I like it to be low price, cheap, not nothing too crazy. nothing
Hmm. I
packaged.
love
And
all the fruits that I see you eat. Like I've learned so many different types of fruits
yeah,
just watching your story. I'm like, I
yeah,
never tried that fruit. That's
yeah.
amazing.
So
Like,
these things are
yeah,
so important to me. And another thing that's important to me is the quality of air and water, right? Like
yes,
we don't, I
that's
don't
good
think we factor
advice.
that enough when we, you know, when we talk about health, right? And mental health at that, like drinking quality spring water, you know,
Hmm.
makes a world difference. I won't state that it
Yes.
cures anything, but I would say that I've experienced depression, anxiety, and all these things. And I will say that certain fruits, the air
Mhm.
and water has been very supportive to me in healing those things. So that's
Yep.
important. You know, these are all things that I map out on paper. Like this is what I need, right? And
Love it.
when I'm done mapping out the things that I need, that I feel I need, I might not know everything, and I don't have to write. You do not have to write every single thing, right? You'll get more and more clear as you move, but
Right.
just having like a small list to start with, and then you'll start to see that you're attracting like countries that will give you those things,
I love
right?
that.
Yeah, and
Love
then
that.
you'll get that impulse that'll tell you, oh yeah, that's just it, right? Like that
Mm-hmm.
impulse will come that that's it. You'll look at the ticket prices and it'll be the right amount, the right
Mm-hmm.
amount for you, even if it's last minute.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I'll buy tickets the day of, right? They
I
probably
love
were
that's
higher last
so
week,
funny.
but because the vibe is right, I feel like the time is right
Yeah.
today. It just happened to be the perfect price for me
Mm-hmm.
today, right?
That's
So
the power of manifestation. What I'm hearing,
yes,
you're writing stuff down on paper.
I'm
Like
writing. Yeah,
write stuff down.
I'm
Yeah.
writing stuff down on paper, and I'm giving the universe, God, a chance to, you know, giving them something to work with so that they can
Mm-hmm.
present something to me and I can be like, okay, I don't know everything. I don't know how this is all going to work out.
But
I
I
don't
have
even know if I
faith.
got yeah, I don't even know if I got enough money for this, right? Like when I took $100 to Mexico, clearly that's not obviously that's not enough money to live anywhere, you know? Like it don't matter, it could be a cheap country, but clearly it's not. Like on paper it's not. But hey, the ticket, I had $300, right? The ticket was like $200, and so I just took that, right? Like I
Stepped out on
honestly,
faith.
yeah, I honestly did not even have enough money for my luggage. Someone, the cashier, the no, the travel. What do you call this? The cashier, the kiosk,
Um, yeah, the kiosk.
the agents
Yeah.
that were. Why am I
Yeah.
forgetting what they're called? But the agent, you know, she looked at me and she was like, "You." She didn't even say it. She didn't say that you're struggling. She just knew that. She just knew like I
Let me
couldn't
help
even.
you out.
She was like, you know, let me help you out. And she's like, so this is how much it's gonna cost, right? So she tells me the cost. She looks at me, and she could tell like you don't have enough to pay for this. And so she does something, and she puts the
I
tag on,
love
and
it.
she's like, have a safe flight. And I was like, oh,
Love
I
it.
didn't even
Love
have to say
it.
anything. That's crazy.
Not that it
Sometimes you got to
matters.
say
What was her
something.
race, if you don't mind me asking? I know that's not important.
This was in Canada. I actually left from Canada to Mexico, and from what I remember, I think she looks like a
Gotcha.
Latino woman
Gotcha. That's some
from
women
what I remember.
empowerment right there, though. Shout out to her because
Yes,
that's
yes,
powerful. But that's God working through people. Like you told
yeah,
me about this book, and I've totally forgot. Cause I remember that time. I'm always just like you seeking knowledge and things to feed my spirit. But I didn't even remember. But
yeah,
God used that woman may not ever remember that she probably don't remember now. But
yeah.
God is using people for what you need because he saw you wanted it and he met you halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And you had pure intentions behind what you desired.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm getting from this and I
Purpose, pure
love it.
intention, and
I
this
love it.
excitement that is possible. Like it's like you kind of got to root for yourself and God, like before you could even see
Yes.
it, right? You got to get
Hmm.
excited and root for what's going to happen that you can't even see, and
That's the
before
power
you
of
know
faith.
it, Yeah, and before the thing is, you gotta take one step. This is really one step, then the next step. But sometimes we get stuck because we think, okay, I gotta take all these steps at once, which is not possible, right?
Right.
Like you can't pack and be in the country at the same time.
Right.
Sometimes you just need to, yeah, you sometimes you get an impulse, you get this inspiration to just pack, right? Like it's just a little voice, just pack. I'm not telling you to buy a ticket, just pack. But and then you get in your mind,
I
but I
get
gotta get the
it.
ticket. I gotta make sure I got
Hmm.
everything ready for my
That's the
kid.
fear-based thinking.
Yeah, like just stay around, just pack, just pack
That's
up,
the hardest part.
just pack. But it's the easiest part. You don't know how to get to pack for vacation. Just pack.
Right,
Just
right,
pack. Just chill and pack. All right.
right. I
And
love
then
that.
after you pack, you never know. It might be, you get that perfect phone call. I remember when I did get a voice impulse right like that to just pack, right, and not knowing where I was gonna go, but I knew that it was one of these times where I wanted to go to Haiti to just experience Haiti because that's where my family's from,
Oh,
and I
nice.
got that impulse to pack, and once I finished packing, I was tired of packing, right? And I wanted to pack light. So I packed just a backpack for the month. So
Mm-hmm.
I packed the backpack, I just put just white clothes in there, a little bit of scarves, and one pair of sandals, and I traveled with some sneakers. But I packed. I completed that task. I sat
I love
down
that.
and I remember I watched a Winnie the Pooh movie. And the Winnie the Pooh movie, Pooh was like, I don't know, but something always comes out of nothing, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, I don't have
Mm-hmm.
nothing right now. All I know is that I'm packed. And just a few minutes later, I got a phone call from my cousin who invited me to take a trip with her to Haiti.
Love that.
it
Wow.
was a all expense paid trip. Somebody backed out on, and I got the opportunity to go
Wow.
on a resort and
Wow.
just vibe, just vibe.
Synchronicity that happens when you just tap into
Yeah,
fate.
yeah,
You
it
know,
was
I like me,
incredible.
somebody who's recovering from like anxiety, anxious thinking, and overthinking. That's so much I can learn from what you're saying. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes you gotta let go the need to control everything,
Yeah.
because that plays a big part in that dance with
Hmm.
God.
Hmm.
You gotta know how to two step with your faith. You
Yeah,
gotta learn how to dance
yeah,
with your faith, and
yeah.
you can't control everything. Sometimes
You
you gotta
can't.
release that control
You
in
can't. And
order to really.
if God had given you all the steps, had told you everything, you would have sabotaged it.
Mm-hmm.
If you had
Most
known
definitely.
everything, all the mysteries, you would
Most
fuck it up. You
definitely.
really would have. You would have.
I love that. I could go
Hmm.
on and on and on with you because there's so much to unpack. Your story is inspiring. Where can we find you? I mean, of course, I'm going to tag all of that information, but where can we find you and what is in the next chapter with the vlogging? You know,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So you can find me at Kimberly P.P on Instagram.
love it.
The next phase for the vlogging is right now I have a vlog on the cost of leisure. Right, everybody talks
Nice.
about the cost of living, but my brand is the Queen of Leisure, where
Love it.
where I basically highlight my life experience and journey and um, inspire. I want to inspire people to just experience leisure. Let's just kind of get away from living and start just thinking about like how to survive in a place, but
Mm-hmm.
now let's figure out how to like experience leisure in a place,
Yeah, I
how to
love
just
that.
rest, how to enjoy. Yeah, so I have
The
a
cost of
video.
leisure, not
The
the cost
cost,
of. I love
not
that.
a cost of living, it's a cost of leisure. So
I love
I go,
that.
I give some great tips on that video about how to get memberships with the hotels so that you can be in and out of hotels every day. Your pretty black self. You
Oh,
know,
I love that. I love
your
that.
pretty black self getting into spas at a discounted rate.
Okay, I love
Spending
that.
your days like if you work abroad or whatever it is that you want to do abroad. When you got some time off, you can take a massage break, or just work at the hotel. The hotels,
I
they're
love that.
designed to make you feel a type of way, to make you feel like luxury,
Mhm.
prosperous,
Mhm.
to feel productive, or whatever it is that the brand's target is for you. And you should
Love
be able to
that.
go there and feel that, and be into that. So check out that video. There will be more content like that as I move through my travels. Yeah, yeah,
I
that's where
love
it's that
that.
that's what we're getting into.
I'm gonna watch it. I actually watched it, but I need to watch it undistracted by my toddler.
Yeah,
Cause and just please, anybody who watches this, please follow her. She's amazing.
yeah.
Kimberly P.P.
Yes.
I
Look, you're gonna be inspired to watch it when it's gonna be the perfect time. Like, just get to that. If you want to do this nomadic journey thing, just get to that first step of like getting yourself to move the needle, right? To move the
right.
needle and travel, because you can't help it. You're still in a survival
Mm-hmm.
mode. You still are looking to see, okay,
Overthinking.
how can I survive? So you might not receive that well, or you may, like, I can't really tell you. But at the same time, I still recommend, like, that, you get past that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like, you could even tell yourself, like, I'm gonna be good. If I travel, I'm gonna
Right.
be good when it comes to survival. And then, like, go ahead and watch that. Yeah, because it'll click, it'll stick, it'll stick, because it's like, okay, now I can think about leisure,
No,
because
watching your content,
I'm
anyone that
not worried
watches
about
your
survival.
content, yeah, sorry to cut you off. Anyone that watches your content, it's inspiring. Like, I literally see that you are a woman living on purpose with a purpose, and you're trying to undo this perspective of that we gotta hustle and bustle all the time. We gotta
No,
be
especially
like,
not as women.
no, not as women. Get into that soft lifestyle. And I think that's something that I do learn about the New York lifestyle. And really just a woman who's either trying to build a career in corporate world or build a career and climb up this kind of like ladder and get the American dream, so to speak. You found yourself kind of not, you're gonna be wrestling with your divine femininity and also masculinity. Like, you're not gonna be able to preserve that divine femininity when you're not in an environment that is really supporting that soft life.
God.
Like, they call
Hmm.
it the soft life, but really the life that I feel like we're all meant to live. Like, we're
Yeah.
not all we're supposed to not we're not meant to live our life in survival mode all the time. And that's the society that most of us kind of live in. The reality that most of us live in is
Yeah.
that we have us accepted that this is just life. So it's powerful
No,
that you
no, it's
said
actually
no.
detrimental. It's
Yes.
detrimental. I made these decisions based off of health, because
Hmm.
my mom was your average top, woman who was moving on her masculine energy. She was, just
Totally
doing
can
it.
relate with my mother.
She was doing it all on her own. She was a
Hmm.
nurse
My
in New
mother
York City.
sounds like my mom, a nurse
Yeah,
in
raising a
Louisiana,
kid. Yes,
raising a kid.
raising kids, going to work all day. No,
God bless her.
no
Yeah.
space for a masculine container to come in and take things over. Like, there was no room for that, but she also didn't have it. So it was move, 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 go, 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 go. And I feel
Right.
like she died like early. She died at an early age, and she didn't know. She didn't have the tools. She didn't know. And I'm just like,
Mm.
I have to do this differently, because I just don't want to see myself go out like that. Like,
Mm.
I appreciate what she did. I appreciate how her life became the example for me to redo, to undo,
Hmm.
and to just live differently. So
Wow. I relate
yeah.
to you so much in that terms. Oh, God bless her legacy. Bless your beautiful mother's legacy. My grandmother. It's crazy because this story is something that permeates throughout American society, especially for, Black women who in their own way was trying to break a generational curse. And when my grandmother, she was a RN, she was in New Orleans, she was the DON at Charity Hospital, a famous Charity Hospital in New Orleans, which is no longer after Katrina.
Hmm.
And basically, my
Mm.
grandmother didn't live 2 years over her retirement.
Wow.
And the stress. My grandmother worked so hard for her house. She worked so hard to provide a lifestyle for her three sons and one daughter, and then she died. And it haunts me every single day that she did not get to just live a soft life. When I
Hmm.
think of my grandmother, she did not live a soft
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. There's no
And
balance there. It's like, I'm doing it all, I'm doing the
yep,
nurturing, the providing. And it's like, well, no, like you're supposed to do
right.
the nurturing, but then you're supposed to also have a masculine container to do the providing to help you.
Yes.
We're dynamic. I'm not saying that we should just sit and do nothing because that's just not possible for us as
But it won't
women.
sustain us for too long.
No, it
Eventually,
won't.
something suffers
Yeah.
within ourselves because
Yeah.
we're doing it all because of that's a whole nother conversation of social
Hmm.
engineering in America, post slavery and blah, blah, blah. But I can relate to that. You're saying I'm breaking a generational curse
Hmm.
and I'm doing something that will make my mother proud
Yeah.
to know that I'm forging a different path because that's because epigenetics is something that I really been researching too. We take on a lot just from like anguish, mental anguish, and thought process, even through genetics. So you're saying it takes so much courage to do what you're doing, because especially how many times I've been told, why you just don't be a nurse? Nothing wrong with nurses. Shout out to all the amazing nurses that I know. A phenomenal career.
Hmm.
However, I've been told, why don't you just do what you see everybody else around you do?
Yep,
Why don't you
I've been
just
told
forge
that
that
too.
path? And then you realize, okay, I'm doing that, but it doesn't fulfill me. It doesn't speak
No,
to
it
me.
doesn't. It
And
doesn't.
we realize is that it takes so much courage to say no, and I'm doing this.
Hmm.
So I commend you. You're doing something amazing, phenomenal.
Hmm.
And just like you manifest in everything you are now, you're going to manifest that family. You're going to manifest, breaking those generational curses even more through your offspring when the time comes.
Yeah,
So I love that. I love it, love it, love it. And it's so important for us as women too, is that we're living in that day and age where so many women like you who are changing the narrative of what it means to be a
it's
black
beautiful.
woman, what it means to just be a woman,
It's beautiful.
honoring your stories before you, but honoring your story, but also too, you're showing people that it's possible. So I know you mentioned the biological clock thing. You got time. You got nothing but time. You're very
Hmm.
young.
Yeah,
And I think you already know that, but just wanted to kind of reiterate that because I'm just so excited to continue following your life. I hope you get
yeah,
on YouTube more consistently because people
yes,
really need to see this journey. It's
yes,
so
yes,
inspiring.
yes.
It's
It's
so
great.
inspiring.
Yeah, YouTube is great because you can reach so many people,
Yes.
without even trying.
Without even trying.
Without even trying, you're right. I hear that and I receive it. Thank you so much. And
Yes.
I
Thank
think the
you.
same thing as you. I do. I think the same thing as you. I think you're just speaking to me what just mirrors back to you, doing what you're doing, to waking up every day and, doing your best to create like this beautiful